I like pancakes, you like pancakes, I want waffles. I like, well, technically Galarian Stunfisk is a pancake. Well, actually, it can classify as a waffle as well. You know, if you, it looks like it's, you know, I'm dead serious. It looks like a waffle maker. No, seriously. You can call it the bear chaff, the slipper, the flip-flop, whichever one you want to do. It's Galarian Stunfisk, to me, because I love food, is a pancake. But it can also classify as a waffle. So, that's why you saw that clip at the beginning, you know what I mean? If you are a 90s baby, and if you know what Aaron Carter, yes, I want pancakes. I want pancakes. That is a great, you know, if you put pancakes instead of candy, it would have been a great song. Anyways, the reason why we are here on this day, mentioning Galarian Stunfisk, because it is literally the most powerful mon in the Ultra League remix. If you thought Ultra League Galarian Stunfisk was going to be annoying when level 50 came out, guess what? It is the most powerful mon for the Ultra League remix. Galarian Stunfisk was actually spawning during GoFest, so hopefully you got enough XL candy through hatching eggs and catching Galarian Stunfisk, or you already had one built for basically to make one for Ultra League Remix, because it's really that good. Galarian Stunfisk is super powerful because it cores together so well with so many combinations. As you see here, Galarian Stunfisk is a ground and steel type Pokemon. The reason why it's so good is because of its obscene amount of stamina and its defense. It also has a really fantastic and overpowered moveset. There was a reason why when level 50 came out, this was going to be one of the most annoying Pokemon of all time. Like, it was already premeditated and predicted, and by many other great battlers, and, you know, when you have one of the most powerful mons in Great League and it can max out near 2500, this is what happens. There's no balance! That's basically what it is. Anyways, G-Fisk is weak to fighting, fire, ground, and water. So the good thing is, there are a lot of things in the Ultra League remix that weren't banned from the ban list that can actually take on Galarian Stunfisk really well. So even though it's statistically incredibly powerful, there's a lot of things that can kill Galarian Stunfisk, so it's not super safe, per se. Now, what makes Galarian Stunfisk such a beast is that because Galarian Stunfisk dodged the ban list, it triple resists. It does not double, it triple resists poison, double resists electric, double resists rock, resists both bug, dragon, fairy, flying, normal, psychic, steel. So confusion users plus charmers all die to this little pancake. So pancake is basically obscenely powerful. So, Ultra League Remix, against so many combinations, Galarian Stunfisk will do one of two things. It will win you Elo, win you the battle, or it will break shield, or just outright just destroy your opponent. Which is basically why, if you do have one, it's amazing, and definitely recommend you use it. As you see here, fantastic moveset. You're always going to almost use Mud Shot, Rock Slide, and Earthquake. There's no reason for you to use Flash Cannon or Muddy Water, for most part, especially in Ultra League Remix. But you can probably expect to see a lot of pancakes running around, or a lot of counters to said pancake. Level 50 Pokemon are extremely expensive, and Galarian Stunfisk, if you want the highest ranked one, you need a perfect G-Fisk. So if you do have perfect G-Fisk and got enough XL candy, you are in luck. Because again, like I said, this mighty, well actually it's a burnt pancake, not a maple pancake. I call maple pancake the regular one, the Unova one, but this is the burnt pancake, and burnt pancake is really good for Ultra League Remix. It's the most powerful mon for Ultra League Remix, actually. Alright, as I always demand of you, ask of you, please consider contributing at ppoke.com. So if you go to Ultra League Rankings, it's not a surprise. It's not going to take you very long. It probably takes you at least 5 seconds, as you see here, for you to find that Galarian Stunfisk is in fact the most powerful mon statistically for the Ultra League Remix. As you see here, Galarian Stunfisk does really well against confusion users, pretty much destroys so many combinations. Ground will destroy poison types. It also will rock Alola Ninetales World, and with Abomasnow too. The thing about G-Fisk is there are things out here that can beat it, thankfully, but it would be the XL Jellicent, Drifblim, which doesn't have a super, well, it doesn't have a super dominant matchup. This is the 1 shield, so not the 2 shield. As you see, Snorlax can beat it, Politoed, and Flygon. This team is, well, not this team, this Pancake, actually, I was trying to figure out, Pancake or Pokemon is actually one of the highest statistically overall usage Pokemon as far as like total stat product, and 4469. It is a mighty number, and it's incredibly powerful based on this number, as you see here. The last two, I'm not talking about the first two, the last two. Anyways, it is an incredibly powerful switch, as you see here. Good in all positions, but it is the most powerful safe switch in Ultra League Remix. Even if you do have a negative lead against it, it's still going to force a ton of shields, or can survive enough just because the Ultra League variation is a lot bulkier than the Great League one. Well, the Great League one's bulky too, but you know, this one's maxed out, so you know what I mean? Pick your poison. In this case, pick your pancake. Galarian Stunfisk is great in all rules, like I mentioned. As a lead, it ranks at the top 5. Being able to take out, again, Psychic, it resists Psychic types, destroys basically the same thing you saw in the overall listing. Incredibly powerful in the lead. Also, the #1 safe switch. As you see here, the most powerful safe switch is the pancake. Galarian Stunfisk can beat Snorlax in the 2-shield as well, as you see here. Can also beat a whole lot of different combinations, with your worst nightmares being Machamp, Politoed, Jellicent, basically water types, ground types, that because Steel is weak to ground, and of course fighters, which is why Machamp is so strong for this meta, for its sole reason that it absolutely annihilates Galarian Stunfisk. However, the thing about Galarian Stunfisk is Galarian Stunfisk does have a lot of mods in this meta, like Deoxys Defense, Armor Mewtwo, or Deoxys Defense, Armor Mewtwo, or basically there's a lot of things that can support Galarian Stunfisk in the Ultra League Remix meta. That's what I'm trying to say. As closer, Galarian Stunfisk is also incredibly powerful. In the top 10, or actually in the top like 6, well, yeah, top 10 basically. But as you see, no matter what position it's in, Galarian Stunfisk is in top 1 through 7. That's just how powerful Galarian Stunfisk is. It's so powerful in the closer because Earthquake is a fantastic closing move, and Galarian Stunfisk with energy or shields is able to even Rock Slide your opponent to oblivion. So it's incredibly strong in this meta. If you played it in Ultra Premier or in Open Ultra League, yes, this thing is so annoying that it's basically usable in Open Ultra and Ultra League and Ultra Premier Cup. It's really freaking good everywhere in Ultra League Remix, and if you do have one, it will serve you well for Ultra League Remix. Literally, it's that freaking good. So, alright, so here's the part all you probably skipped to anyway. It's the BeatPoke.com Matrix. This is where we figure out how good the Galarian Stunfisk is in every shield scenario. As you see here, I have a level 40 Galarian Stunfisk and a level, well, actually not level 40, level 50, as you see here, and then level 51. You want to get one as high as possible. There's no point, in my opinion, of powering up a Galarian Stunfisk unless you have a perfect. It's a waste of resources, because if you happen to get a Galarian Stunfisk later and it's perfect, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot because they're so hard to get Galarian Stunfisk candy, unless you're using G-Fisk, the Rocker, or you just have to crap from a Galarian Stunfisk from 10k eggs. Anyways, as you see here, we have G-Fisk. And then we have the Ultra League Remix meta to the right. Got the 2-shield up, we hit battle, and this is what you get. As you see for the 2-shield, Galarian Stunfisk is incredibly powerful. It ranks top 7, well, top 5 in the lead, #1 in the safe switch, and number 6 in the safe, and basically it's going to be good in every freaking scenario, okay? As you see here, your main weaknesses will be Blastoise in the 2-shield. Drifloon will also give you a hard time just because of Icy Wind. You can chip away at it with Rock Slides, but it's a really bad rating, so it's really up to how you want to play it out. Anything like Gliscor will also give you a hard time as well, just because of Earthquake. Mudshot's also resisted. Basically, anything that resists ground-type attacks, as you see here, Meganium, Mandibuzz, or anything that basically punches everything to death, like Machamp, is going to do really well against you. Or basically, it's just what you're going to lose against it. As you see, things like Politoed, of course, Weather Ball, Ground's weak to water, Scrafty, you get punched in the face, Surfetched, and Toxicroak. But despite all of these weaknesses, as you see here, Galarian Stunfisk does really well against the rest of the things. It's still really great in the league because if you do happen to have a fighter lead or whatever you're weak to in the lead, like you could double coverage with Galarian Stunfisk. There are so many great XL combinations with Galarian Stunfisk that you can cover fighting and you can just switch out immediately, and Galarian Stunfisk with shield advantage or energy or in another scenario can do very, very well. As you see, one of the big things you should probably watch out for is Deoxys Defense as a weakness. Deoxys Defense XL is incredibly powerful, and it can, compared to where Great League is, the scenario with Deoxys Defense in the 2-shield, in other words, you have G-Fisk in the lead or switch, Deoxys Defense can just straight punch you down to death, as you see here. It has to Psycho Boost you, but for the most part, it's gonna, as you see, it's just so freaking bulky. It can tank an Earthquake. It can tank an Earthquake. You must land an Earthquake, at least one Earthquake during matchup. So if they call your Earthquake, it's going to be really rough, as you see here. So just keep in mind, DD can beat you in the 2-shield. As far as that, you do beat out a lot of the ice meta, or a lot of basically anything that's not flying, fighting, not like I mentioned, flying, fighting, water. If you're not weak to it, it does really well against the rest of the entire meta. As you see, you absolutely annihilate. You Bronzong, Confusion users, Bronzong, Obama Snow, heck, you even beat Ferrothorn. Yes, Ferrothorn is, you have a chance against it though, because you could Earthquake it to death, because Steel is weak to ground types, but it's also grass, so Earthquake just does neutral damage, basically. You can beat out Gengards because Poison's weak to ground. Giratina Origins, Ho-Oh will take heavy damage just because of Rock Slide. You can also beat out Jellicent in the 2-shield with Galarian Stunfisk. That's why Galarian Stunfisk is such a beast. As you see here, if it doesn't have Bubble Beam, as you see here, it's straight Shadow Ball to death, but you're also going to have to bait, so it's kind of baity. It's kind of a baity matchup, and also if Jellicent does have Bubble Beam, you do flat out just lose. So just keep in mind that if you figure out, you can stay in, but if you figure out Jellicent has Bubble Beam, you might want to get out of there. As you see here, you also beat out Luke, so basically you'll beat out the Flowers, you resist the Confusion users because Steel type is resisted. Steel type resists Psychic. You beat out Nidoqueen, Alolan Ninetales, either one just because Ice is weak to Rock. Regirock, of course. Of course, you have a really great match against Skarmory just because you practically wall it. Things like Snorlax and Typhlosion. Now, here's where IVs matter. If you get the mirror match and you have a best buddy Stunfisk, you will beat the other Stunfisk in the mirror match. So just keep in mind, the only thing where best buddy really makes a titanical difference is basically the mirror match. Other than that, as far as the rest of these ratings go, just like I said, get the highest IV you possibly can. Because they're maxed out at a perfect, it's not worth wasting 296 XL candy for anything less than basically a perfect. You can power up an anyway if you have one already. However, just get a perfect. If you don't have a G-Fisk, there's still open Ultra League or better replacements out there. Just because it's so hard, like I mentioned, to get XL Galarian Stunfisk candy. Alright, overall, as you see in the 2-shield, Galarian Stunfisk absolutely mows down the competition. That's why it's so good in the lead or as a safe switch. In the 2-shield, it has such a positive amount of combinations. You can expect to see a lot of anti-G-Fisk combinations out there, like Scrafty, Meganium, etc., or Machamp against Galarian Stunfisk, or in Ultra League Remix, just to counter Galarian Stunfisk. In the 1-shield, as you see here, in the 1-shield, it's even stronger! It does a lot of damage against a lot of combinations in the 1-shield. Basically, if you're weak to water or anything, you just switch out from Galarian Stunfisk, or even if you have it as a... In the 1-shield, as you see here, it's just really freaking good. Which is why there's no... It's just so freaking OP, as you see here. In the 1-shield, you have an even stronger matchup against the combinations I mentioned before. Actually, in the 1-shield, you also are able to flip some matchups. In the 1-shield, you can take out Surfetch if you land an Earthquake. You can also take out things like... Well, you already beat Mandibuzz, etc. You could also take out Jellicent. It depends which Jellicent it is, though. Like I mentioned, if Jellicent has Bubble Beam, you will lose. So just keep that in mind. In the 1-shield, Jellicent has an obscenely strong matchup against Galarian Stunfisk unless you're in the 1-0s or the 2-0. So you have to force a very, very rough scenario for you to win. However, as you see here, you still do really, really well against so many different combinations. One thing you do lose against, though, is Ho-Oh. So Ho-Oh can actually beat you in the 1-shield just because it has Earthquake, as you see here. Ho-Oh will be able to shield. It can live one Rock Slide, and then it can Earthquake you to death. So just keep that in mind. Galarian Stunfisk wins all other scenarios except in the 0s, 0-1s, or 0-2s. So just keep that in mind. Ho-Oh can take you out. But other than that, the main things you have to worry about with is that you flip the Surfetch matchup, you lose the Ho-Oh matchup. I don't foresee a lot of Ho-Ohs in Ultra League or Ultra League Remix, so it's really up to you. Burb is still very strong, though. Not a lot of things in this meta will directly resist both Burb and Earthquake. So Ho-Oh is kind of like a replace, not necessarily cheap because the second move is 100k dust, but it's basically like the Talonflame of Ultra League Remix. Other than that, you beat a lot of things that you're supposed to. Ferrothorn, Gengar, Giratina. Basically what you beat before, unless it's Surfetch or... what's the other matchup? I totally forgot in like 5 seconds. Surfetch or Ho-Oh, nothing really notable flipped. And of course, against the Galarian Stunfisk, whichever one has the level 51 or the higher IV is going to win the mirror match. Unless you're ahead of energy or shields. Alright, as you see in the 2 shield, G-Fisk is incredibly powerful. In the 1 shield, it's incredibly powerful as well. The closer, it is number 6. So you could probably imagine that it's going to kill a lot of Pokemon. As you see here. In the zeros, there is a notable difference between 50 and 51, or like 51 actually flips a few things. The thing about it is that because the rating is so close, if you already have the best buddy one, alright. If you don't, it's still as effective as long as you have a perfect Galarian Stunfisk. As you see here, in the zeros, you can beat Drifloon if you have a perfect Stunfisk or if you have level 51. 507's close though, so depending on how the scenario is, Fliptum can still beat you depending on how damaged Galarian Stunfisk is, etc. As you see here, Galarian Stunfisk is still incredibly powerful in the closer. You're still gonna lose to things like Ho-Oh, Machamp, basically anything that can Earthquake you to death. You're gonna lose against anything that can punch you to death. You're gonna lose to against as well, as you see here. Armored Mewtwo in the zeros does flip just because it does have Dynamic Punch. So just keep in mind, you'll lose Armored Mewtwo. You will also lose Surfetched in the zeros. You can beat in the ones, but in the zeros you lose. Now here's where it gets really interesting. If you do have a level 51, you can beat you can beat Snorlax basically. So level 51 is able to squeeze out the Galarian Stunfisk matchup just because you're going to you win CMP basically with the Earthquake. You're also able to beat out Typhlosion, as you see here. You can also beat Snorlax. So level 51 flips a few matchups. Not enough for you to stress about it. If you have the level 50, just don't worry about it. And you don't have a best buddy, just use the level 50. It's still really freaking good. As you see here. You can also flip Toxicroak, so Earthquake will wipe out a Toxicroak, which is really good. So you can wipe out a Toxicroak with Galarian Stunfisk in the closer. This is what makes G-Fisk so powerful. Some of its weaknesses you are able to flip in a closing scenario, which is why it's number 6 overall. Generally, you're also able to beat what you're supposed to beat. You will still lose to things like Blastoise. You'll lose to Blastoise. You'll lose to Politoed, Machamp, of course, Meganium, etc. You only flip Armored Mewtwo, Surfetched, as well as Giratina Origins. So as far as Giratina Origins go, you can beat in the 2s and the 1s, but you will lose in the zeros. So just keep that in mind, as you see here. So Gyro is kind of rough on the... Gyro is a little rough, but if you have shield advantage, you're fine. But just keep it in mind in the zeros, you can lose Giratina against Giratina Origins. Other than that, you generally beat what, like I mentioned, in the 2s and the 1s and the zeros, you will beat generally what you're supposed to beat. Unless it's like a specific matchup, but there's nothing super close to where it would be like, okay, this IV versus these IVs versus another will matter, just because, like I mentioned, you want to use, if you want to power one up, make sure it's perfect, just because it's not worth it if it's not a perfect. Alright, so we did the 2s, we did the 1s, and now we do have this, well, we did the zeros as well. If you are in the 1 and zeros, in other words, if you have shield advantage, you will kill most of everything. Most. Anyways, things like Machamp and Meganium will kill you. Machamp technically has 4 arms, and you have none if you're using Galarian Stunfisk, so Galarian Stunfisk dies. Just kidding. Basically, Machamp with Crotch Chop is just really good, so it'll kill you. Meganium can also Earthquake you to death, and it's also particularly bulky, as well as Gliscor, so that as well. You could flip Blastoise, but I don't foresee a lot of people bringing Blastoise to Ultra League Remix. No, seriously, it's not that great, so... As you see here, this Galarian Stunfisk in the 1 and zeros is extremely powerful. You'll beat most of every matchup you see, except Meganium, Machamp, like I said, Gliscor, so like 3 matchups. In the 2 to zeros, you will basically kill everything. Yes, you can beat everything in the 2 to zeros. You will block both of Machamp's cross chops that can throw at you, so you can Earthquake it to death. So, in the 2 to zeros, Galarian Stunfisk beats pretty much everything in the Ultra League Remix meta. It's that good. With shield advantage, as you see here, if you have shield advantage, things do flip quite a bit, but as you see with shield advantage, Galarian Stunfisk is still incredibly powerful. You'll drop Drifblim, you also drop Machamp and Meganium, you would in 2 to zeros, Politoed and Scrafty, just basically fighters, or Politoed, just because Politoed with Weather Ball is extremely spammy. Other than that, as you see with shield advantage, you wipe out a lot of the meta. This is why Galarian Stunfisk is just so powerful. In the minute of 30, I've just showed you that. This thing is an absolute monster and is incredibly destructive in Ultra League Remix. And that's GG's. Basically, if you have a Pancake, you'll have a really great advantage over everyone that doesn't in the Great League Remix. You will either be trying to kill said Pancake or pounding said Pancake, or you have Pancake. Either way, Galarian Stunfisk in a lot of combinations is really freaking good. It does really well. The only thing you really have to watch out for is basically its weaknesses, which is water, fighting types, and Meganium, just because Meganium resists ground. Other than that, Galarian Stunfisk can kind of wipe out a lot of meta picks, especially if you have shield advantage. It does incredibly well with shield and energy advantage. So, again, if you do have a Galarian Stunfisk, it's just really freaking good. Only having basically like 4 to 7 red matchups and being able to flip a lot of them. So overall, you only have like 4 red matchups. And what I mean by red is you're going to lose in most scenarios, no matter what you do, unless you're in the 2-0s, is really freaking good. So Galarian Stunfisk as a safe switch is just incredibly powerful. There's a lot of things you could do with it. It will break shields, and it does rank in top 7 in literally every category, or it's the #1 safe switch like I mentioned here. I will do a lot of teams with Galarian Stunfisk. If you want a top 5, Galarian Stunfisk is something with a top 5 that you can use. So if you're lucky enough to have one from GoFest, or if you have one from other means, I'm going to put content out there so you can take advantage of this mighty, mighty pancake. Galarian Stunfisk is a great future investment as well as an XL. If you have a level 51 and you're kind of wondering and scratching your head, should I invest in this? Trust me, in a long period of time, since Season 2, Galarian Stunfisk has been incredibly powerful. With level 50, it's still incredibly powerful to this day. Literally, I would say like half a month after, well, half a year after the level 50 update was released, and for the future, for much long term, unless it's banned, it's still going to be one of the most powerful mons as you saw here. So, as the most powerful mon in Ultra League Remix, hopefully you do have one, and you have one built, or you're going to build one because of this video. Either way, I hope you guys do well with it. Hopefully it does give you that edge you need to make Legend in Season 8 Go Battle League. If you would do so, do me a huge favor, please like and subscribe. As you see here, there's an easy way to subscribe. All you have to do is put your mouse in the bottom right, and as you see that little box that says subscribe, if you put your mouse over it, you can easily subscribe from there. Liking and subscribing is totally free and really helps my goal for 3K subs by the end of the year. To everyone that's a race type, I really do appreciate you, and hopefully this video does show you just the worth of Galarian Stunfisk. It is obsessively powerful, so you're either going to have something that kills it, or you can expect to encounter it, or you will have it on your team for Ultra League Remix. No matter what position you're in, good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.